Hi, I'm Panda Hershey with Your Full Expression. Welcome to the April 19th Coffee and Charts call, where we talk about how the focus right now is on you. Mercury is about to station retrograde on Friday, April 21st, but already we can feel like it's not moving at all. So, whatever you're thinking about in terms of showing up or being present or using your body, your tools, or anything that's attached to you, just allow yourself to go there and feel or think or discuss that. You'll hear people talk about the Mercury retrograde as a time to not make any decisions or a time when things get messed up. But I'm going to offer up to you that it's fine to make decisions. But if there is any way at all to put some wiggle room, that until May 31st or so, you can modify what you agree to or come back and offer a change of some sort, that makes it okay to do and actually might get you closer to what you're aiming for. Or if something gets messed up, this is actually an opportunity then to engage again after May 15th and get it right or improve it in some way, whatever it is that happened. There's a lot more on the call, and I hope you'll listen even on double speed. And on the call, as always, we look at the movement of the planets, and I point out some key days to pay attention to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome, you guys, to April 19th, Coffee and Charts. I hope it feels, while it may not feel less intense, I hope it feels a little less busy, as though you get to stand in one spot and have all this stuff come at you, or be in one spot and have to do a whole bunch of things or deal with a lot. But it feels as though there isn't as much pulling out to be in a million places, to deal with a million people. I've been thinking about how all of these portals have come together for me, and that I finally, with this Mercury portal, am getting to think about where I am and where I need to be and where I want to be. And what is clear was that, like for the Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius, that there is this new life ahead where the structures that I had in place are going to change. And I'm getting a taste of that right now. And that means being a little differently, showing up a little differently. And also what it's like to be taking down that structure. And we all have that. I've been having so many interesting conversations about structures in the world that just don't work anymore. Talking to people about how the pharmaceutical companies are investing all this money and they're very excited about it. But then the people who are funding, say some venture group, some private equity group is funding the development of a drug, but another arm of them is funding the insurance company that doesn't want to pay for that drug. Like, that's a complete mismatch. But things like that just have to eventually meet in the middle or it won't work. And there's all kinds of things like that going on. And so the Saturn in Pisces, I've been calling it being in the same boat with people. And I've figured out at the beginning of the year, I didn't know who was going to be in my boat. And now I do. And there were people who could have been in this boat with us, but either decided not to, or to have them be in the boat, there had to be certain rules in place for this actually to work. And that has shown up for me, and it's all connected. And then this Neptune in Pisces, energy of having this support from people who understand what I'm going through. And that support appears magically with no effort on my part. People hear and they say, look, if you need something, I'm here for you. This is what I'm going to offer you. And that is just so awesome. And I've appreciated that so much. It helps me just keep going. And then this Chiron in Aries, annoyances when I feel like I'm being called out on something that, I didn't mean for it to happen, or I didn't mean for it to come out that way. And then having to deal with that as best I can without getting outwardly too annoyed. And also these pleasant surprises of being thanked or being appreciated, saying you're doing a good job, where I wasn't sure and I just needed that. And it was a nice surprise. And this all comes down into this Mercury in Taurus of here I am being present, having to do all these things, and recognizing that this is a step toward changing how I'm going to be. And I can see some opportunity for growth in myself in the way I'm going to show up. And even this Venus in Gemini that's happening right now, that's through that Mars portal we experienced, of validation that I was on the right track, that I had strong opinions about things that I was noticing, and I was right. And that's sometimes being right doesn't always feel great, because you're maybe pointing out things that aren't working. But I know I was doing the right thing. And that's also helpful to know. So that's how everything weaves together for me. I hope as I've talked about it, you see how all these multiple things come together for yourself. And it's all to help you expand and keep going and get ready for what is coming, which is your wonderful life on this planet with all of us. So let's take a look at where we're at. I'm going to share my screen and get going on where everything is. So here we are. Just as a reminder, Venus, and Min always nicely reminds me about this hand. Here is Venus right here at almost 10 degrees of Gemini today, but it started moving through that Mars portal, and it will keep moving through for 2 weeks. And this is looking for that appreciation or that validation of what you are putting your heart into in terms of ideas or details. And tonight we have the new moon, which when they line up vertically, in terms of the moon being able to block the sun completely, then you get an eclipse. And if we were in Australia, we'd be able to see it, but it happens tonight at about like 11 o'clock. And so we won't be seeing it, but it's initiating something big for all of us to say, here I am. If you have something at 29 degrees, this is a big thing. And it affects all of us.
Oh, my rising.
On tomorrow, notice here's the moon here. And remember that the moon is moving this way. So it's going to zip past Mercury in green and Uranus in orange. So it's almost like a new Mercury, right? When the moon comes across that Mercury, it gives that extra energy to whatever planet it's crossing in front of. And that is going to be really thinking about, one, where you're at and saying, this is it. This is where I need to be. And then the Uranus is, oh my God, this needs to change. Like something needs to shift as I notice where I am. So just pay attention to that tomorrow and see what comes up for you. It's a hint. On the 21st, Friday, Mercury stations retrograde at 15.5 degrees. And notice that it doesn't quite catch up to Uranus this time. So it's like that bumping up, getting really, really close to making a change, but no, it's going to back up, go back, and then come forward. And eventually it will cross, but not right now. So this portal, but also that Jupiter portal that's coming, same thing. The growth that we're going to experience this year will not yet lead to the change, but it does build up your presence so that you're ready, more ready for that shift that's coming. On the 23rd, notice that Mercury, Venus, Mars in 3 successive signs, right? Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and the moon just zipped through there also, are all lined up at 15 degrees. So think about if you have something at 15 degrees, all of these planets are pulling on it to be present while you use that tool, to think ahead to ideas that you have and be appreciated for them. And then Mars saying, oh my God, there's so much more. I can't quite explain it because it's that Cancer energy of being beyond logic, but just I know. And that Mars pulling you along. So that may be a very interesting day for you or someone around you if there is that energy of that intense energy of all these 3 planets plus the moon working together. And that's for about 2 days. I would count the 24th as well. On the 26th, so the sun enters that Mercury and Jupiter portal. So you've been thinking about where you're present. Okay, let's follow it up with some action. And this is that time. And you've had, 3 at this point, good 3 weeks to think about where you've been present. And now you're going to do it. And so paying attention for about 10 days of noticing what are you doing? Where are you present? Is there a hint somewhere of what could be your growth? But this is that time to see it possibly start to show up as, oh, that's coming for me. Then on May 1st, the following Monday, that is first the day that Mercury in its retrograde moving backwards crosses over the sun. And busy day, my recommendation is to just flow with where you're called to be present. Wherever you end up is where you're supposed to be. Like if you had something scheduled and you end up being somewhere else, that's probably for a reason, and allow it to happen. And on that day, Pluto stations retrograde at 22 minutes of Aquarius. So it's the time where if we've been pushing for change, it's important to stop pushing, to say, okay, I've made this much progress into the new world, and this is enough for me to deal with, enough to just get a taste and a sense of what's happening and back up. And when we went through this a couple of years ago, it was also a time where people thought, we've seen COVID numbers go down and all kinds of stuff, and people relaxed and thought, oh, we're back to normal. And it really wasn't. So kind of same thing. Yes, we've made progress. We can get a sense of what's possible, but stop pushing to have everything at this point and just flow backward. And you get a chance during the retrograde to restructure things, work on some of the things that could be fixed to maybe end up at a different point at the end of this year. So you're really ready for the changes that are coming. And then we meet again on May 3rd. And that is the day that Venus moves past the Mars portal. So just noticing where you have been validated in terms of your ideas and how is that encouraging you to keep going. Okay, we're going to go back. It's always fun to watch Mercury completely stop, which it basically feels like right now, and start to move backwards and cross over. Here's Mercury here. It's going to, the sun and it will kind of meet in the middle. And as they move towards each other, and then Mercury will move all the way, but we won't see it, to 5 degrees of Taurus, 6 degrees of Taurus. All right, here we go. And there we are, May 3rd. Okay. So in terms of the work, oh, goodness gracious, that is not very visible. I'm just realizing, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure how that happened. Let's see if I can change this. You know, I'm not going to mess with it. That says my impact on the world. Just remember that this portal is that open? Nope. Okay. The Pluto portal. Pluto is stationing retrograde. If you look inside your retrograde portal guide, your playbook, you look to see where this is happening, find the arc, look to the middle to find the number, write 10 on page 67. You figure out what part of your life this is, and think about how has this shifted, especially since the end of March. And I've got until June or so to like keep dealing with this change, but it's going to ease off a little bit. And when we move to the questions, is how have I pulled everything together as best I can over the last 4 months, right? You're going to have a second chance to pull it together as you learn something and say, oh, I need to work on that, or get this resource or tool, or maybe research something. But you have 5 months to really get ready to do this again, and you'll be more prepared. You'll have gotten some growth under your belt. And what is this portal teaching you, in this Mercury portal in Taurus, teaching you about where, how, with whom, everything you need to know about showing up and yourself? This is really important to pay attention to, because it really does. I'll start with you. And then this Mercury portal, especially if you have something at 15 degrees. So you look in your guide on page 2 and you look in that table and say, oh, what do I have? Do I have something at 15 degrees? Then that is going to possibly be a big day in a few days with Mercury, Venus, and Mars kind of lined up. And then if you have something at 11 degrees, as they cross each other, where the sun and Mercury cross each other, that may be a busy day. So just something to pay attention to. And then this Mars portal way back long ago that we thought we were done with, there's still some ripple effects coming through. And how are you being validated in terms of the ideas that you were putting your heart into and the details you were pointing out to people? And so the main thing to focus on is you. Where do you need to show up? Where do you want to show up? How are those alignings? How do you need to be to do that showing up? Let your mind, because that's the Mercury, is ahead of the sun right now. Let that lead you even to guide where you need to show up. You've got Venus and Mars kind of pulling you to where it's all going, but you know, you can only do so much right now and you'll eventually get there. But just focus on being present right now during this portal, and everything else will follow as it needs to. Let it be inspiration instead of frustration, if that's at all possible. So tonight, the total eclipse, if you have something at 29 degrees, you may feel especially inspired to use it. And just remember that Jupiter will pass through this exact point on May 15th. So the opening is coming, but you just have to wait, almost a month. Just hang with it, not too aggressively, and it will be there. But do be patient. The 21st, 2 days, Mercury will station retrograde. Wherever you're kind of talking about or thinking about your showing up, your presence, your tools, your resources, your attachments. Someone brought that up at the Mercury retrograde workshop yesterday, and I love that. Whatever you're attached to, thinking about that, you're going to be back here kind of thinking about the same thing on May 31st. So you've got the next 5 weeks or so to get clarity on this. So use them to do that and think about taking your time. Doesn't all have to happen overnight. On the 23rd, 24th, that's this weekend or Sunday, Monday, we've got that Mercury, Venus, and Mars kind of lined up. And just remember to be present, but let the Venus and the Mars inspire you and encourage you to keep going. And then from April 26th until May 6th, this is where you get to follow up what you've been thinking about with some action. And that's great. Sometimes we act before we've had a chance to think. This is the opposite. We've really been thinking about it a lot. So consider it practice. Just say, okay, I'm going to try this. It doesn't have to be perfectly right, because as Mercury comes back through, when it moves forward again, it'll be, oh, well, I noticed this about when I showed up for this. And there's more adjustment that can come from that. And it's the hint of the growth. That's right. On May 1st, I just realized I didn't update any of these things around here. So please ignore all of them. May 1st, Mercury crosses over the sun at 11 degrees Taurus. So just flow with wherever you're supposed to be and let that happen. The same day, Pluto stations retrograde at 22 minutes of Aquarius. So it's time to stop pushing and allow the energy to slowly move backwards. It's like getting a peek over the edge and then slowly backing away. And thinking about it as, okay, I've seen what it can be, and I'm going to take the next 5 months to prepare and get ready and do this climb again. And when we meet again on May 3rd, Venus has finished moving through that Mars and Gemini portal. So what validation have you gotten? And how are you feeling that as encouragement to just keep going? So tips for thriving, pay attention to you. You've recognized a lot about yourself over the last couple weeks. And now as the sun will start to move into Taurus, you get to act on that accordingly, because this is the future you. And on May 1st, literally move with the flow. Literally put your physical body with the flow of where you need or want to be. If you're already scheduled up to the hilt on that day, fine. You'll find out what it is supposed to be. And if you're not, it's a great adventure. And during the Mercury retrograde, people talk about it as, oh, don't make any decisions. And I'm like, if you have to make a decision, fine. Just see if there's an opportunity for a little wiggle room so that you can go back to people and say, all right, let's go with this. But if I need to make a tweak on any part of this over the next, 5 weeks, whatever, I want to incorporate that into this right now. So you've got till May 31st. Give yourself till May 31st. And that's about it. We had a great workshop yesterday. There are two more. It's like getting a hot seat with the universe to coach you. There will be one next Wednesday at noon, and then the following Sunday via Zoom. If you're interested, just reach out to me using the email below if you're watching the video, and we can do that. And if at all you're interested in having one of these guides so you can follow along with the coffee and charts and see how it works with you, check out the playbook for the year, your retrograde portal guide. All right, I'm going to go to see if there are any questions. And there we go. How's it going, guys? Being present.
Given me a lot to think about, and I have a lot of thinking going on because my sun, moon, and rising is all in Mercury. So I can't believe how powerful this class was in illuminating some of the stuff that's going on with me. And when you were talking about what's that 15 degrees, because Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all pulling on it, that's my North Node.
Wow. So choosing the best choice for you is just being present wherever the universe is calling you.
My mind and into my heart.
Yeah. Good. Wonderful. Oh, Ara, thanks for sharing that. That's wonderful. All right,
Things are
you
starting to
guys.
work for me that have felt really stagnant. Like things like in the last 2 days, there's been a wonderful burst of positive flowing energy, like where things have been stagnant for so long. And I'm just really grateful.
Great. And remember, it will back up. So
Yeah.
don't take that as no progress, right? It's an opportunity to go and rearrange some things and get whatever support you need so that you can zoom through this again in the new year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have time. Yay. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. All right. As always, I am here to support you. I love doing this. This energizes me and makes me just so happy that I get to do this work. So thank you for being here. And I will see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you.
I hope you feel prepared to move easily through these next 2 weeks and can see this Mercury retrograde time as an opportunity to pay attention very deeply to what it means to you to show up and be present with your tools and then follow through with some action. If you can allow yourself to literally move your body into whatever situation is calling you, you may get some sense of the growth opportunity that awaits you this summer and beyond. Be gentle with yourself in every possible way. And if you would like to have a hot seat with the universe and attend one of these Mercury retrograde workshops to get that coaching, just reach out to me at the email address below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.